Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be getting kind of personal with you guys. I'm going to be sharing my relationship with makeup, from how it started to how it's going and to see what the future holds. So without further ado, let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and as I mentioned, today I'm going to be sharing with you my story with my relationship with makeup. And I'm going to be doing all that while I'm actually getting ready to start my day. So I'm going to be starting with, what am I going to start with? Primer. So I'm using this primer by Catrice, the Aqua Splash Grid Primer, which I think I reviewed this recently. And well, my relationship with makeup is started way back, and I think I was either 14, 15 years old, and I think I was either already in 9th or 10th grade already. No, I take it back. I was already halfway through high school during this time. And of course, I was having a hard time processing puberty in a way, especially because I started to really got a lot of acne, and my skin started to be really bad. I used to have, ironically, I used to have a lot of acne right here on the sides of my face, and I just didn't like it. Like, obviously, nobody wants to have that. So I remember I was either in Walgreens or something like that with my mom and my parents, whatever. And I remember I went to the beauty department and I saw this nice roller. It was kind of like, oh, let me see what I can. It was literally something like this. This is a concealer, but it was like a tube like this. It had, um, actually, it was more like this. It was kind of like plastically on one side. Well, it was hard, but it had like the little tip, and it was, I believe, now that I know what it may have been, it was a under eye concealer, and it had a nice little roll on the top of it. I think it might have been Neutrogena or something, or Maybelline. I think it may have been Maybelline. I don't remember. And I remember I bought that because I was thinking like, oh my god, under the eye, so I don't look tired. I don't know why I thought I was tired, even though back then I didn't have like no dark circles or something like that. I don't know why, but I ended up purchasing that, and that was my first beauty product, I guess, makeup product that I ever owned, I guess. And I remember me using it under my eye, and it was very kind of like on the light side, so it was definitely not my shade. But I was like, okay, you know what? This really cover up like my under circles and whatever. So I remember me using that, but then I broke down really badly one time, and so I decided to was like, you know what? Let me use it to like, cover some spots, and that's what I did. Remember, it was light. It was very light on my shade. So, and especially because it was around what, like it was somewhere like around springtime, and by the time this happened, it was already like summer. And of course, we tend to be a little more darker on the summer time. And so that shade was completely not my range. And so I decided to put it on my face. And I remember for so long, so many people were like, why, like, what's on your face, like, is this like, are you okay, like, since a little bit discolorated. And of course it was really awkward, but I own it. I'm like, I'm just covering up my acne, whatever. So I only end up doing that moving forward on like special occasions, like, if I had like, if I know I needed to be like, I needed like photos or something like that, I know I kind of cover up a little bit, but I wasn't really caring that much about that. But that's kind of like my first product that I ever experienced with. And of course, this is like the peak of high school. So let me just put this on really quickly and let me continue with the story. All right, so I just put in my concealer using the Beverly Hills concealers. All right, now I'm just gonna blot it out a little bit. Okay, so continue with my story. So during that time, I was also really into art school. Like, I was very into, basically I was taking 3 or 4 different art classes at once. I was able to select some of my classes and everything, so I was like, okay, well, kind of like easier for me. So I took a lot of art class, like ceramics and paintings and stuff like that, Renaissance, etc. And I don't know why, but now that I think about it, now looking back, my situation and everything, I realized that makeup is basically like art. It's like painting, but the only difference is that instead of painting on a canvas or something, you're painting on your face, and basically that's your own personal canvas. And that's how I started to consider makeup to be. So around that time, I have always been very passionate and in a way like very, kind of have my eye on it, but never actually pursue it. Only because I had different ideas of how I wanted to do things. It wasn't really like oh my God, I want to do this so badly. It wasn't like that. I always had a curiosity to do it, but never fully understood how I wanted to do it. And it wasn't until I graduated, and I will talk about that, how I started my brand and things like that, which happened right after. And actually, no, it happened a few months before I graduated, but I didn't really establish, how can I call it? I never established like, oh wait, this is it. This is my thing. This is what I want to do, like a niche or something, until I was already doing it, which took about a year for me to, maybe not a year, but like a few months. It was like at the end of the same year that I graduated that I established that. And I was like, you know what? I want to do fashion. I wanted to do that. I wanted to express myself through my clothing. And that was the day that I'm like, okay, what else am I going to be doing with that? Right? Because don't forget, expressing yourself through clothing and every, like considering yourself like a mannequin, basically, a whole look has different categories. It has your outfit, right? It also has like the shoes that you want to be wearing, which is part of an accessories, the accessories you want to wear. Also, your hair. Your hair is part of an outfit. It's part of a look. Your makeup is part of your look. So, of course, if I really wanted to express myself with a look, I wanted to give out the whole illusion in a way. So I'm starting to realize that, oh, well, I saw these magazines and everything, and I'm like, how do they all look so perfect? And mind you, this is just right out of high school. I was still kind of breaking up a little bit, but not as much anymore. But at this point, I feel a little more confident when it comes to many things. So I want to say like I studied completely, but I definitely did my research on a lot of different things. I look at magazines, Vogue magazines, and things like that, to the point where, no, I take it back. It wasn't only the magazines. Like the magazine was my inspiration, but I started to dig more, and YouTube became my thing. And then blogging, like I remember me following people on social media, looking at the blogs and look at the behind the scenes and things like that. So I took all that in to the point where I'm like, oh, I like this. Of course, all of that is just like a platform, but I had to create my own. I'm like, what am I going to do with that? All right, before we continue, I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills, what's it called again? The lip balm? No, it's not. The beauty balm. So let me just put this on really quickly. Actually, I don't care. Let's just put it on and we see. So now this is like at the end of my graduation year, and I did all of that. I did studying, like not just about fashion and things like that, but also like what comes with it. Like I said, hair, face, makeup, etc. So that's where I started to play around. I started purchasing. At this time also, I haven't had my first job yet. So basically I had no money, so I had to work with what I had. And I remember during this time, my parents was giving me an allowance to save for school, but I would just spend it on things, of course. So I was doing that, and I purchased my first foundation, to which I don't remember what it was. Oh, it was the Beverly. I wanted the Maybelline's foundation for the girl store, from the pharmacy. And I remember I purchased one. And mind you, this is my winters. Like, this is winter, I guess. I don't know, something about winter. Just tend to buy a lot of makeup. Do not buy do not buy just makeup during winter time. Make sure you cannot buy your ranges, different types, different variety of shades, because you tend to change them. But I didn't know that back then. But I just wanted to do makeup. So I ended up buying one foundation shade. And mind you, like I said, it's winter time, so it's very light on me. So I wore that during this sometimes during college, and so this is the time that I started doing a lot more editorial. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to look good for these photos. I don't want to do too much editing to them, so I want to make sure I look good. So I started wearing makeup now more often. This is like almost every day, and of course I didn't really have what I have now. But back then, like, first of all, I didn't even have powder to set my foundation. I didn't really, I think I used the same brush for everything. And mind you, I only had the foundation, so I really didn't have concealer or anything like that. So you bet, and remember, I still have a little bit of acne, and I wanted to cover up some of the spots. So what I was doing instead of just, and I believe it was kind of like it wasn't full coverage, it was kind of like a medium coverage. So I was putting so much makeup on my face that I remember feeling it. I remember feeling the cakiness of the makeup, and I was on it. I'm like, of course, I'm like, whatever, but I can feel like I'm wearing a mask everywhere I go. Oh God, lowly Jesus days. So I remember me going to school, but of course, I mean, I was wearing it very often, almost every day. But there were some days that I'm like, oh fuck this shit, like I don't want to be doing this. But for the majority of the time, I literally was taking pictures almost every day and post them on my social media. I was doing all that, and here and there, I would. This is just to kind of like make myself feel confident enough so I can be able to kind of like, play with my photos and things like that. But there were some editorials that I remember I came out with that I was like, oh, let me just play it out a little more. Let me see if I can come out with like a more, rebellious look or whatever. So that was kind of like the idea of how I started to experiment with that. So then that happened. And then it wasn't until maybe, I want to say, so this happened during like the winter, springtime, then summer came, right? And then when the summer came, of course, wearing makeup can be annoying. I still, even till this day, do not really like to wear any type of makeup or anything like that during the summer, only because honestly, it just feels very, like, it melts down, and I'm very sweaty. Of course, I'm male. So what I started doing during the summer, well, back then I was still wearing makeup, and oh my God, literally, sometimes it will be so awkward because my makeup will literally just drip into my clothes and things like that, and like I'm over here. Maybe that's a little bit awkward, not gonna lie. So it does, it did make me feel a bit unconscious, not unconscious, uncomfortable. And this time I think it was my friend Cynthia, and she was like obsessed with makeup, like during this time. And I mean, I think she still is. But back then she was like obsessed with makeup, and Jeffree Star was like in the rise, and all those beauty YouTubers, like this is like the era of that whole time. I think this is like 2014, 2015, and I see all these YouTubers, beauty YouTubers and everything started doing that. And believe me, those times were like, that was my TV. Like literally, YouTube became my channel. Like I was like all about all these products, the Jeffree Stars, the highlighters, to which I do have them, the lipsticks and everything. But of course, I wasn't really like, I was admired, I was inspired by a lot of that stuff, but never in my mind that I wanted to be like, oh, let me just start to collect this stuff or whatever. It wasn't my idea yet, even though now that I think about it, I should have, because that would be kind of like a great time to have those things in my collection right now. That was the time of YouTube era and everything. So I was watching so many YouTube videos and everything, and I'm still doing my everyday makeup, kind of like just to cover up for videos and things like that, right? But then, when was it? It wasn't until 2020. No, I take it back. So this is like 2014, 2015. Then remember, like I was always very friendly. I always consider myself to be a very free spirit. I really didn't really care much about what people had to say. I mean, it's to a certain extent, of course, because we're human beings. And I remember being like, hey, like I started to experiment more with my clothing, and I think my clothing definitely gave me a lot of like a boost in my confidence. because there's were certain looks that I have worn before that were kind of like eye-catching, or they can be kind of controversial within my own family and things like that. So when that happened, of course, I had to own up to it, and I was like, well, I like this, so if you don't like it, then whatever, up to you. So I ended up doing that. And then when it came to my makeup and all that stuff, I always keep it very light up to this time, and I didn't mind it. Then in 2016, I'd met someone, and it was my first time that I actually brought someone home, like, a friend. And later on, I remember me telling my parents, like, hey, like, do you like this person, blah blah blah. And they were like, oh yeah, like, they're very nice and everything. And I'm like, good, because we're actually together. Yeah, that was literally how I literally just told my parents about, like, hey, I'm having someone. And they were like, okay, cool, good to know. And that was about it. Like, I literally been that person. Like, I never, like, I don't think I ever had to come out, because at least for myself, I always been this person. So that was that part of the story. But then that also, like, this type of attitude, like, kind of kept me going. And so because of this attitude and all that stuff, I remember this is the time that I was so obsessed with Jeffree Star at the time and everything. And mind you, like, I haven't purchased any products yet. I remember he came out with this. It was the Jeffree Star and Manny Moo, something like that. They did a collection, and they had this highlighter called the Eclipse, and it was so nice. And so I wanted it so badly. I was like, cannot wait for it to come out. And so when it came out, I don't know what happened. I think I was in school or something. It happened during the summer, so I wasn't in school. Something happened, and it came out like on a Friday, and I was not paying attention or something. And my ex at the time, he got it for me. So I thought that was really nice of him. He bought it. He's like, I'm gonna get it for you. Don't worry about it. And that was literally like my first collectible item or something like that. So that was really nice for him to do that. And I still have it to this day, to be honest. So, I was still wearing makeup then, but it wasn't as much as I, used to do before. I learned about concealers back then. I learned about, this is also the time that I started doing my mascara, but not to wear it in my eyes. I started using it like in my eyebrows and my beard to really define it. So that was definitely a little trick that I started coming out for myself. And I thought that was really nice. And what else? And this is the time that I started to, maybe I don't want to say like completely purchase a lot of products, but starting to create my little collection. And then during this time also, I met my friend Keisha. He's Russian. He came over, and we used to hang out a lot while he was here the whole time. And I remember he had like a little bag, and inside his bag, he had like his toothbrush and things like that, like a little carry. And inside that, he had like a little concealer. He had little brushes. And basically, like everywhere he would go out, like in the morning or something like that, he would just do a little catch up, and then that's it, like something quickly, something really easy. And I was like, holy crap, like that's such a genius idea. And mind you, like I'm like, oh, this is makeup is nothing like crazy. Like you don't really need to have all the glam thing all the time. You can just do a little bit of something, and that will be considered like your whole look. I was so memorized by that I was like, oh, I want to do that. So, and I did. I grabbed a little, I don't remember what it was, but I think I found like a little bag. I really don't remember back then what it was. And I ended up creating my little session. Of course, I did end up getting some concealers, and that became my most, even till today, I still have my little concealers in my bag, and kind of like for a quick cover up look and just color there. And so that's where my inspiration for that came from. So if you're watching this, kitchen, thank you. And so, I have your boyfriend, I have the friend, and, they all kind of like inspire me. But of course, me being me, I was still mostly focused in fashion. My fashion was literally and it still is my main priority. And so it wasn't until 2020 that I started doing a lot more collaborations with brands and things like that. That was the time when COVID happened, and a lot of things were happening at home. And when you do a home, there was all about like spa treatments and like oh, even though we're home, let's take this moment to do a lot of me time and a lot of take care of ourselves situations and things like that, right? And so that's what I started doing. Friends were reaching out and they were like, hey, like, will you be interested in trying this product for us or things like that, right? And I'm like, well, I'm not doing nothing. I wasn't working. Also, the majority of fashion or clothing era is usually for outside. You just start to go outside. And at the time we were not dressing up, we were just at home not doing nothing. So they didn't send me a lot of makeup products and everything. But at this time I got in a lot of skincare, to which I'm gonna have a whole different video. I'm gonna be talking about like my relationship with skincare, because that's a whole different category of things. So as I am getting collabs and all that stuff during this time, I remember starting to play with makeup. And so something about me is that every time like I have like my collections, even how I have right now, like I have my whole collection and everything, I know makeup expires, right? So I like to have my friends over sometimes and be like, hey girl, like I'm cleaning out my drawer, my makeup drawer, like you want to come over and see what you want to take from it and things like that, because like if I'm not going to use it, someone else will, or I don't want to throw it out, because I said someone might actually like it and use it if it's not me, right? So I still do that till this day. And back then I started doing that, and my friends and everything, we started to catch up. And so every time Brian would sell me like makeup and everything, they will come over and like we work it out, of course, after I review it and use it and whatever. If it's not particularly a shade that I like or something like that, I just give it away and I just keep whatever I want or I like. Then after that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm getting a lot of products, like I'm getting like a lot of views, and you know what, like this is actually really nice. So what I started doing is, I'm like, you know what, I feel comfortable enough for me to continue doing this. Like I'm like, you know what, I like this, like I actually do enjoy doing this. And not only that, but like I do appreciate the brand sending me items and things like that, right? And I'm still doing that till this day. That's basically how the whole story, like me sponsoring, getting products and things like that started. And then I can't believe that was 5 years ago. Like 2020 was 5 years ago. Can you believe that? 5 years ago. Like I literally thought we were not gonna make it, but here we are 5 years later. That feels like it was just yesterday. Wow. All right, sorry, I just had a moment. All right, so now where am I in my relationship with makeup? Even though I do try to keep it minimum for my everyday, like my everyday look, because I'm not gonna lie, doing makeup every day and things like that, it is time consuming. I'm not gonna lie, it takes time, and not all the time I have the time. Was that a wriggle? All right, but yeah, like doing makeup every day it's time consuming. Like if there's no particular I like event or something like that, sometimes it's not worth doing too much makeup. So that's why you're doing a little quick flickies here and there. But I've decided that for my but I still play with makeup, regardless of that. Like I still have my days where I'm like, oh my god, like I get a PR package and I'm like, oh, let me try them out. Or I have my friends come over and they go over, look over the items, and we just play with them. Like even my mom, like that's how literally this whole video got me inspired to do. That's my inspiration to do this video. It was my mother, actually, because I remember like this year particular. No, wait, not like at the end of last year. She's like, can you do my eyebrows? I'm like, oh girl. Like that's the thing, I can do my own makeup. I love playing with makeup and things like that, but for me to consider someone like a makeup artist, or if you want me to do your makeup, honey, we're gonna be praying, both of us, that it turns out great, because it is completely like the way you hold your brushes and everything is completely different to it is to do it yourself to do it on someone else. And also, like, if you do it yourself, like, you kind of have an idea of why, you're so familiar with your shapes and things like that. Meanwhile, when you're working with someone else, it's very different, right? And so, this is why no one can be a makeup artist. That's why you have to go to school for those. Because I know a lot of people be like, oh my God, I can be a makeup artist. It looks so easy. No, it's not. And just because you can do it on yourself doesn't mean you can do it on someone else. And so, but here and there, I'm like, you know what? Let me just do that. So I started like playing around, doing her eyebrows, her eyeliner, and things like that, right? And that kind of had me more playing. Like, I'm like, you know what? Like, let me play with this item. Like, oh, let me put more of this, or let me put more of that. And so I started playing with that, with makeup like that, which I think I found very lucky, fascinated, and fun. But then I was having a conversation with my friend Bree, and I'm like, girl, by the way, she's a drag king. So, definitely makeup is a little more different than so I was like, oh, I wanted to be more creative, but I still want to keep it on the simplicity side. So I remember I did this campaign last year for my store, and I wanted to really, execute a little bit of like on modern makeup in a way, more creative, like a more what's it called, sophisticated modern makeup look, and that's what I came out with. And of course, literally I have a whole album in my phone where I have so much makeup inspiration of like lines and architecture and things like that, which I have always been very inspired by. Remember, back in high school, I was taking so many art classes and all that stuff, and literally now that I look at it, I'm like, wow, like this is really like inspiring me right now. And not only inspiring me, but also I liking it. Like, starting to really find my niche, like my look and my ability to create certain items. And so, with that being said, actually I'm going to be doing a lot more makeup looks moving forward on my TikTok. So make sure you are following me there. Also, please subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and make sure you like this video as well. And of course, like I said, follow me on TikTok, but all my socials as well. I have your T's and Y. But yeah, like I'm going to be doing a lot more makeup because I have been playing a lot with makeup recently, with some looks and things like that. And mind you, those are not the most like everyday looks. They're definitely a very specific type of look for certain events and things like that. It's not like you every day, like, oh my God, fancy dinner night type of vibe. Because not gonna be honest with you, I'm not that person. Like I don't, that I tend to be a little more like, if we're gonna make a something expression or something like that, I want to make it all out. I don't want to be doing something like basic, I guess. Even though I am basic. Oh, well, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I'm going to be doing that a lot more often now, and which kind of like what inspired this video as well, because I'm like, you know what, let me talk about it before I actually do that, because I know people are gonna be like, what the heck is this guy? Like, what did he want to do? Like, he just started doing fashion, now he wants to do makeup. And I'm like, well, like, I haven't, even though yes, I haven't really statistically consider myself like someone who like is known for makeup or anything, but like I mentioned before, it's part of the look. Your hair, your makeup, your outfit is all cohesive with your an outfit look, to expression, and you cannot live one without the other. Like, if someone has or do fashion, they have an understanding of beauty, of makeup and hair, or even our makeup artists have an understanding about outfits, because that's how they can come, make the whole look cohesive. Even though yes, maybe one is more than the other, they all work together at the end of the day. And for some of us, like, I just want to really experience almost all of it. So, and to make it the best, I'm sharing it, with all of you about my experience. And and yes, I know some looks are not going to be the most like, oh my God, this is so cool, blah, 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 because that's part of it. Not every look needs to be understood. Not every look needs to be amazing, but a look is a look, and I think that is the beauty of makeup, right? All right, now for my lips, I'm actually going to be using this really cute. Oh, by the way, I was just using the Ella Luz contour palette, So I really do enjoy this one. Actually, I haven't used this in a minute, but I thought today will be appropriate. All right, back to this. I'm using the Catrice tinted lip oil in the color, what is this? Gossip Girl. All right, cute. Actually, I really do love these. These are so moist. They're so hydrated. And even though it says tint, this color is very light tinted. And literally, it's not sticky or muggy. It literally just looks like this all day. So I really like this. Okay, so let me just do my hair and let's just end this video. Okay, so I just finished, finish it out my hair and everything, and I think I am good so far. So, this is technically it for the look. And so to conclude my whole story with my relationship with makeup, honestly, I am so thankful to grow up the way that I grew up. And like I said, most of my expertise and everything has just been concluded with just doing it. Just me taking myself up there and just be like, oh, I like this. Let me try this. Let me experiment with this, and doing it little by little, and having the self confidence to honestly share it here on social media or YouTube and things like that, just to put myself in front of the camera and doing this, even though I technically do not consider myself an expert, but just literally be like, hey, makeup is fun and makeup is doing whatever. And it is definitely part of my self-expression, and I really encourage everybody to do the same. And even though I am a male and everything, and there's so much that can go into it as well, but at the end of the day, I am who I am. And people don't know why you do certain things. Like I started wearing makeup because I was feeling self-conscious. I was feeling not confident enough, and somehow me wearing makeup, even though I was doing a really bad job at it back then, it did give me a boost of confidence and things like that, where now I not only still gives me a boost of confidence and things like that, but it gives me the opportunity to explore and be like, okay, what's next, and how far I can take this creativity up to. And I think that is something that a lot of people don't understand. And even though I just got this, this video can be kind of like serious or things like that, but to be honest, it is makeup, it is paint, like it washes off on the at night. And if you don't want to go really crazy about it, or if you want to keep it very light, that's up to you. Or at the end of the day, we are literally using almost the same similar products, from foundation to concealer to paints to contour palettes and blushes and all that stuff, right? Eyeshadows, etc. And just make it fun. Do not judge others for it. And so yeah, and like I mentioned somewhere in the video, please follow me all over social media and everything. Of course, I'm going to be doing a lot more looks, makeup looks, of course, just like I do my outfit looks. I'm going to be doing makeup looks, and yeah, they're going to be a little more on the creative side, things like that, but I'm really excited to share all of those with you, and hopefully you end up liking a few of them. So no further ado, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys on my next one. Oh, and before we finish, don't forget your setting spray. So your art can actually at least last a day. All right, bye.